Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly collective reading. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. I hope you're doing well today. As always, we'll check in with Apollo, who's napping behind us. This weekly collective is going to help us navigate all 7 days ahead of us, giving you what you need to see the twists, the turns, and everything in between. I like to start off with some channeled messages, and let's get to them. So actually this morning, as I was walking Apollo on his last little walk here before this reading, a little gecko ran across my feet, and I was like, we're going to talk about that. I have some dream stuff too, but the gecko came through loud and clear. What took me by surprise was just that timing. And so it's very interesting that you chose the topic ignition, which by the way is the special topic, like how to create a necessary spark. And of course, geckos are on the suit of wands, like on the King of Wands. You'll see it on his throne in the background, and sometimes in front of him. So to me, this represents taking an idea, bringing it into the real world, but also there just might be an opportunity to turn the key. And sometimes it's kind of like when you're a little kid and you wait for summer vacation, or you wait for a gift or something to come through, and then it's finally there and there's that, oh, wow, this is happening. That's kind of what I feel this week. Wow, this is happening. And so the important thing right now is to feel truly ready to meet that opportunity when it comes through, even if you're feeling like it might be a little inconvenient, or it's too soon, or you're not ready. Opportunities come when you are ready, but it's sort of the internal disbelief that could be the challenge this week. So there's an ignition key sort of thing that wants to happen. It could be an idea, could be meeting someone. It could just be that something unexpected happens and it could open up a channel of opportunity. Just take a deep breath and see where it goes, okay? So that's the first thing. The other thing was, and this comes from time to time in my dreams and meditation, but I kept seeing an elevator, and there was just this sort of internal question, am I going up, am I going down? And I think this has a lot to do with mental health, but also just sort of like how to deal with challenges in front of you. Are you going to elevate and go to the next level, or are you going to kind of let someone's energy take you down? It reminds me of the Prince song where he's talking about don't let the elevator get you down, which was actually a metaphor for like the devil or lower frequencies. I remember hearing him talk about that in an interview. He didn't want to make it like overly religious or overly, he didn't want to get in people's heads too much with that, but it's kind of the same frequency there, which is don't let it get you down. Take action, move up, get a bird's eye view, figure out how you're going to strategically take the next step. It's not ignoring it. It's saying, no, let's actually get prepared. Let's figure out what I'm going to do. So if there's a challenging person, a challenging situation, or it's your own sort of emotions, then you get the perspective that you need so that they don't drag you down either. And it's not dismissive of the emotions. It's just saying, we're going to take the next step, whatever that might be. Also, when I see any sort of transportation in dreams and meditation, it's basically a liminal space. So you could feel like this week you're neither here nor there, right? Because you might be in the process of taking a leap of faith. You might be in the process of moving away from or moving on from something. And I'm just saying it's okay to feel a little in between this week. Continue to breathe, continue to get a bird's eye view of what's going on, and that's going to help you take the next step. As we get into the cards here, we can focus a little bit more, but I think it is very appropriate that you chose ignition, because it feels like things are going to start to move more quickly than they were in the past and more quickly than you might have expected. Okay? With that being said, let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. All right, I haven't used this deck in a few weeks, so let's bring it on. This is the Lightseers deck. I had to travel with it for a while, so I'm like, now we can bring it back. I gave it a break for a little bit. All right, close your eyes if you haven't already. Imagine that you are sitting at the beach. Create a circle in the sand around your body. The sun is directly overhead. Pull that energy into where you're seated, and let's call in angel, spirit guides, and ascended masters. I'll be pulling one card for each day of this week. This is for everybody that's present. We will have some sections that, well, just one really that calls out the signs, but otherwise what you see is for anyone that's here. If you came here, it's for you. I miss this deck. It is gorgeous. Okay, let's begin with the energy of today. And appropriately enough, we have the Suit of Wands. So this is basically, like I said, about taking an idea and breathing some life into it or bringing it into the real world. The other thing is she's just sitting with this idea for a moment. I actually love that we see a person on the ace because normally aces are inanimate. Sometimes they are. So with this one, I'm really encouraging you to do a creative activity today. It does not have to be work-oriented. Anything that allows you to just sort of sit with it for a moment. It could be an artistic craft, like for those of you that like knitting or drawing or composing music, or even if you just want to go outside and walk a little bit and put your headphones in, whatever it is where you can just, it's almost like disconnect, but in the best way, and allow thoughts to come through. See where the thoughts may bring you, and don't judge. It's just a receiving card here. That's really what I'm getting here. Receive it, sit with it, and then maybe at the end of the day, maybe tomorrow, start to bring action into it. But there is something about not getting in your head and thinking, well, what about this? What about that? Maybe I shouldn't do it, et cetera, et cetera. That is going to take away the energy of it. Trust your first instinct. Your intuition is coming through. That first thought is the most valid and is the most intuitive. It's a great lesson just with intuitive development. The more we think through an instinct, the less we're going to listen to it. So that's why it doesn't have to be a journal, but journaling is good. And I include digital journaling in that. So just typing it in your computer, your phone, or your iPad, all of these things work. And then time and date stamp it so that you can go back later and start to learn how your instincts and visions are starting to map out to your life. Because everybody's, it's like these cards. Everybody has their own symbols that are going to work differently. And the more you get to know yours, the better you're going to be at decoding them. Okay? Great ideas are coming forth today. Listen, and then later this week, you might be able to take action on them. Okay. Monday's kind of interesting. So this is probably my favorite Eight of Swords because it does a really good job showing it. And I like that it's reversed because we can see that she's starting to look away from the projection. In the upright version, the focus is on the prison of thought. All those little math memes that I had flying in the air, it's kind of there. When we start to think, it can't happen, I'm not this enough, they won't react to me here, like we start to create these blocks, then it doesn't happen. What she's starting to do is see that the mirror doesn't reflect her. The fears don't reflect the reality. That's your powerful takeaway on Monday. You may be afraid, you may be nervous, but there's more to the story, and it's probably better than you anticipate. This is also just eyes and ears open, so you might see someone for what they truly are, very nicely connected to today's daily poll, which was the devil. And so what happens sometimes is there's a revelation. A person, and it works with this because, by the way, Seven of Swords, Five of Swords, even the Eight of Swords, they're all about illusions and deception, and this one is about sometimes removing that mask. And so when the mask is removed, when the reality is in front of you, embrace it and say it's inconvenient but really valuable. You can't unsee, you can't unknow. Pandora's box is open, right? Now, the other thing here is just don't limit yourself. So let's say everything's good, there is no revelation. It's more about not boxing yourself in with those can't, won't, never sorts of words. Instead, the questioning technique that I use here often will help you. How can I? Why can't I? When will I? Opening up the energy of possibilities rather than clamping down, rather than shutting doors, rather than locking them. It's a week of ignition. And although most cars nowadays, you just push a button, including mine, and probably for the past 20 years. But back in the olden days, you had to put a key in the ignition and turn it. So this is about turning it, moving it, somehow deciding to turn your perspective in a new direction. And that's what a question does. It turns you in a right direction, okay? So see beyond the projection, the fear, see that things are likely better than you anticipate, and don't give in to that, okay? Eight of Swords reversed. And by the way, this is all for Monday. I'm sorry, yes, Monday. So all revelation energy. All right, moving on from Monday to Tuesday, things are looking much better. We have the King of Cups. And so he's not letting his emotions get the better of him. He's sitting there in a meditative state. He's honoring the emotions, but they're not sort of like, it's not like the high tide, right? So this is a great day to use how you're feeling to get other people involved. So great leaders are passionate, they are energetic, they are magnetic, and they have the capacity through their own, really passion is the word, but yeah, they just are impassioned leaders. So you can do that. You can actually get other people to listen or to understand from your perspective, provided that it's not coming on too strong. There is this receptive quality to him. He's not pushing it out there too much. He's emanating it. He's walking the walk, talking the talk, but he doesn't have to overcompensate in communication, in demonstration, like the King of Swords, like the King of King of Wands might do. He's sort of like, take me or leave me. And I like that. Inner acceptance, passion, charisma, these things will take you to the next level. Little starfish also shows healing. And for some of you, what you just went through on Monday is starting to level up from that and starting to heal. This is a very good day, Tuesday, for any sort of creative venture that you might have. It's a great day for a first date, for talking to someone about a problem or something great. It's a people day, like I said, and I felt that energy yesterday with the Ten of Cups too. So this is a perfect time for any sort of gathering and connection, but really the focus now is more on you with the King of Cups, okay? Let's move to the midweek. A little bit more of self-care, but this is more about declaring what you need. So the Queen of Pentacles, one of the best cards for parenting, nurturing, creating. She's reversed and she's thinking to herself, this is lacking. I need a little bit more. I want a little bit more here. Or I deserve this, so I'm going to pull some of my time, energy, and resources and put them in myself, in investment, basically. So it could be training, schooling, nurturing, but this could also be like, I need a day off, or you could articulate to a partner, hey, I really appreciate it when this is happening, but I need this. So you're kind of setting boundaries, setting expectations, putting needs on the table, and doing so not in a way that is dismissive or apologetic. It's just saying, this is what's necessary. So negotiation is good, but don't give away more than you need to, and don't feel bad for asking. I think that's the big takeaway here. There could also be a person in your life that lacks boundaries and is willing to take as much as you're willing to give. So simply knowing when is when, and you can just say, I'm sorry, that's enough. That would be very good. So there's a scene from an odd movie from like 80s or 90s regarding Henry. I think it was Harrison Ford. He had suffered some sort of brain injury, but the lady that was kind of helping him rehabilitate said, say when, and he never did, and like the milk spilled over on his cereal or whatever. So we have to sometimes say when, so things don't go overboard. And it is something that sometimes we have to relearn or teach ourselves. And so know when to say when, and know when enough is enough. And especially when it comes to how much others are willing to take to it. It works both ways. Okay. Also, I'm happy that some of you might be treating and taking care of yourself, but no extremes. King and Queen of Pentacles in reverse sometimes can treat themselves too much. So again, moderation is key. Let's move on to Thursday. I like it. We have the Knight of Cups coming in. There could be some good news. There could be someone coming in that is interested. It doesn't have to just be in romance. They could be interested in you in general. So for job seekers out there, for people that might be putting out an application for an apartment, for whatever it might be, for travel, we're seeing that there's positive news coming in. It's also a reminder to go out and fight for what you want. Knights are very active and they're willing to kind of go the distance for what matters most, okay? And I'm looking at the fact that there's like a wild stallion in the background. So this is also about allowing yourself to follow through on your passion, on your desires, especially when it comes to something that, whether it's your career or a path in front of you, making sure that there's something that fills you up and makes you happy in the long run. Only you can do that. Take action. 2 great days for negotiating, for meeting, for connecting with others. So Tuesday and Thursday, very similar. This one is a little bit more about putting things out into the world. Okay, let's take a look at Friday. On Friday, choices, 2 of Pentacles. You might be torn between 2 very similar options, or there may seem like there's no obvious choice. So much like the 2 of Swords, it's about going inward and trusting and saying, well, I'm going to just have to go with what's most appealing, where I can make the biggest impact, where my heart is. It's interesting in this deck that we have like a very conservative option, like a purse or a wallet, and then we have more of a opportunity where everything isn't spelled out. You may find yourself looking between 2 things. This is practical, it's guaranteed, it makes sense, but my heart, my energy is pulling me in this direction. I can't tell you what to do in that one, but because of the 2 emotional sort of cup-spaced energy this week, it feels like you're being pulled towards the heart, not the pocketbook. But we are in strange times now, so sometimes we have to kind of weigh the options. Now, one cool thing about 2 of Pentacles is it doesn't mean you have to forever say no to one thing. It could mean I can do this now and that next week, or it can be a compromise card, 50-50, meeting in the middle. So if you find it impossible to make a decision, you can do that, but there is going to be some concession. You either put all of your energy into one thing and make a really big impact, or you split what's possible and you're okay with the compromise, and neither is 100% of the potential. But typically with this, the emphasis is on making the choice that feels right, or that you feel is going to pay off in the best way, depending on what your goal or desire is, okay? So again, that was for Friday. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the energy of the weekend. On Saturday, we have a card of abundance, of independence, and really some progress as well. So for many of you, this is a great day to work on your own, at least for part of the day, because often for those of you that have family, or even if you have friends, this is a great day to meet up. We all have friends, but you know what I'm saying? Like if it's a day where you're spending time with both of those people, you might feel like, how am I going to fit this in? So this card is really saying, make sure that there's a little piece of the day that's just for you, because it could be very productive. Also, if you've been waiting for some progress, we start to see things building up in a sustainable way by the time Saturday comes through. It's lacking the snail, but I'm going to say it every time because I love the snail. Slow and steady. It is not about how quickly, it's about how well you do something. So she's also not going for the lowest hanging fruit. This is kind of interesting, and that's a very corporate phrase, but low hanging fruit is like what's in front of you, obvious, easy. So she's reaching a little bit. She's challenging herself just a little bit to say, I want to stretch and go for that. So that's okay, because this is why you're going to pace yourself a little bit, take some time, and see where that leads you, okay? And taking us 1 week from today, we have the Six of Swords in reverse. A little bit of progress, but perhaps it's a few steps forward and then maybe 1 step back. So again, when we're looking at the trade-off, it's a reminder here that it's not always going to be easy. And this week, I think, with the Friday energy, which, by the way, we'll talk about finances too. There could be some financial stuff coming through, but it feels like you don't want to take anything too seriously, because there's going to be some adjustments in the future. So we're seeing iterative process. Sometimes it's a little bit more than other days. We want to look at the general trend. Are you trending up? Or are you trending down? Getting that bird's eye view and the perspective is key. Some of you are overdue to take action. Some of you are overdue for a vacation. Some of you might just be stuck. This is the liminal card between the past and the future. So even if you just take one step in that direction, that would be good. If you have any traveling that you're doing on Sunday, make sure that you account for potential delays, because this can sometimes be a delay or being rerouted, okay? Looking at the highlights and the challenges for the week ahead, here's what I see. I think that actually today, Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, it's like every other day is pretty, and even Saturday. We're in an interesting cycle this week where every other day gives you a chance to breathe, catch your bearings, and then sort of like reorient. I think that of all of these cards, Monday and Friday are the most challenging. Monday because fear or anxiety could be setting in, or there's like smoke and mirrors a little bit and you have to see through that. And then Friday because you find yourself wanting a little bit more. This is a general, not necessarily warning, but it's putting your attention to your finances, by the way. So when it comes to spending, saving, how you're kind of like allocating your time, don't overextend, obviously. Okay, that is the 7-day forecast. Let's go ahead now and move on to the elements: fire, earth, air, and water. So let me get everything arranged here. While I'm doing that, it's a great time to subscribe if you haven't already, and like if you haven't already. Okay, so let me pick a different deck here. We'll do this one since you guys liked it from last week. All right, let's take a look at the elements. Fire, earth, air, and water. All right, let's begin with the fire signs: Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. This is a pivotal week here. We have the Death card. The Death card is in reverse. So for some of you this week, it's about breaking through stagnant energy. If something isn't moving or working or providing what it needs to, this is the week to really sort of remedy that and say, I need to change this up. And that's ultimately, as many of you know that watch this channel, how I view death. It is a card of change and metamorphosis. For instance, the minute that that caterpillar, which has now become a butterfly, pushes through the chrysalis, that's a death moment, because it's no longer what it was and it's now something else. So there's this realization that the old is gone and we can't go back. So I keep getting that metaphor. We can't go back into the past, nor would we really want to, because it would absolutely change everything. All we can really change in effect is today and tomorrow. So this is about leaning into that change. There could be rapid change coming through. So death reverse can be either stagnation, like you're ignoring making the movement, or something isn't moving the way that it needs to, or it's like the rug's pulled out from underneath you and you're like, this is too much change too fast. In this situation, take a deep breath, pace yourself, and then see what's around you and talk to other people. I will say this, invariably, it just means that there's some big movement, some big change, some big opportunities, and to me, that actually portends good things. The other thing, I'm going to look at the traditional death card while we talk here, is sometimes there is resistance because we think to ourselves, I can't. And that energy came through, again, on the energy of Monday. So I can't do this because, and it could be age, it could be experience, it could be station in life, whatever. And I always like to remind people on the traditional death card that death, transformation, change is indiscriminate. We have the king, we have the child, we have the mother, we have the papal figure, and death is like, you're all part of this. None of you are more or less privileged, or more or less deserving. That means that any change that you want or need to make, you can make, okay? And finally, reap the rewards. If you've been working hard on something and you've been holding back, Literally, it's the Grim Reaper. And in many decks, it will be holding like a scythe. So this is a chance to just say, let's do it. It's time. Again, action and change. So significant movement this week. Do not fear the Reaper, just like the song, particularly when it comes to your life. It means change is happening. Just a little resistance. Okay? There you go, fire signs. Earth. Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Really good week for partnership. Four of Wands. This is setting the stage. In this deck, they chose not to put people in it, but I'll pull the traditional card while we're talking. What I do like is that we see all the elements kind of represented in this, all the energies coming together. And think of that movie from the 80s, was it? Field of Dreams. Sometimes you have to build something in order for the opportunity to meet it. So you could be literally creating something physical. You could be creating an application or developmental environment. You could be writing a book that'll eventually get published. You could be doing anything where today it's just an empty stage, but tomorrow it's going to be filled with new things. So I want you to think in those terms rather than thinking there's no one here. I would just add to that yet or today. And that frees you to think, but maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. So I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep working on the development. When we're looking at relationships, this is one of the best cards you can get. It represents, as we see in the traditional illustration, sometimes engagement or marriage. It can be BFF energy, best friend energy, where the person's there through thick and through thin. And I like this illustration, which is Rider-Waite-Smith derivative, because, like I said, the stage is empty, but we see one set of people here. We see other people that are coming through. It's more than meets the eye, and it might be more than you imagined. So open yourself up to receive more than you imagined, and know that it won't all happen today or this week. Be patient, okay? Focus on the people that really love, support, and reciprocate, because we do want that energy of friendship and partnership that we definitely see here in the Four of Wands. Okay, beautiful card, beautiful week. Anything that you need to do with respect to conversations, negotiations, partnerships, or building is perfect for this week. Have fun. All right, moving on from earth signs to air. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Two of Swords reversed. So this is a card of opening your mind, opening your eyes. Again, in this deck, they're just showing you the two swords and saying, you could go either way. And with the Two of Swords, the big encouragement is introspection and curiosity. So in the traditional card, she's blindfolded, but there's nothing blocking her. And either of those swords can work. And there's nothing dark about this card at all. It's just uncertainty. How can you get through uncertainty? Inquisition, asking questions. Just basically say, hey, this isn't clear. So Seven of Cups, Two of Swords, they're sisters in tarot. Seven of Cups is sometimes we overwhelm ourselves. Two of Swords is we don't really necessarily have enough. So they're like opposite extremes. So with the Two of Swords, you can ask for more. Say, wait a second. This is nebulous. This isn't clear. Something's missing. What do you mean? Or you can ask yourself, what do I want? How will this help? It's insightful questions because it's not in black and white. It's not in front of you and it's not around you. You've got to reach for it a little bit. You're either reaching into your heart and into your intuition, or you're going to reach for an answer. And that requires what? Questions. So ask the questions this week. And if you don't know, don't jump forward just yet. So if someone puts something in front of you and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this, that's actually an answer. If you have to ask, you're probably not completely ready. This is more for like a big purchase, jumping into a relationship, making a significant move, anything where it's like, I don't know. Wait until you are more ready. Sleep on it one night, 1 week. See if you still feel the same at the end of that period of time. There could also just be something that's hidden or not disclosed. So this is where you're going to stand up for yourself and say, wait a second. I didn't hear that, or I didn't see that when we first had this conversation. So you're good at communication. You got swords this week. It's about questioning, exploring, and waiting until you feel that sense of certainty. Okay? It was reversed, so some of you may be starting to know that there's more to the equation. So again, I think there might also just be a little bit of acceptance. If the decision has been made, it hasn't there's an emotional attachment this week. So when you release the emotional attachment, that's good. One last thing, there's a lot that came through on this. Simply recognizing people around you. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Or letting people know that you need more feedback. Say, I'm not sure if this worked for you. Did you like it? Would you like something changed here? Again, going back to the questions. That'll be very helpful. Let's move on to water. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. King of Swords in reverse. It's time to take action. It's also important to speak clearly and succinctly. Less is more. Because if you say too much, sometimes those words come back. In the upright position, he represents in the minor arcana like the ultimate in communication. Yet when reversed, sometimes the message doesn't land. What do I mean? Maybe he comes across too direct. Maybe the timing isn't appropriate. Maybe the language is confusing. Even someone who knows what they're doing can do any of these missteps. Thankfully, he's the king, which means he can make better choices. So always when king and queen are reversed, I kind of encourage people to first say, is now a good time to talk, to ask someone how they're doing. If you're confused or if you're unhappy with an outcome, to ask how the person got to where they're at before casting judgment. Any of these tools will help you avoid an argument or a dispute. Double check what you're doing. You can have your computer read back like what you've typed in an email to make sure that the tone sounds good. You can have someone else read it. So draft it, edit it, have someone else look at it, then send it. Never send a first draft. Never pick up the phone when you're unrehearsed. Think to yourself, all right, do I want to have this conversation? Is there a better way to say this? Go walk the dog, go get a cup of coffee, take a deep breath, and then if you still want to have the conversation, do it, but kind of walk yourself through it. Don't just dial or don't just text, because I know some people nowadays don't even pick up the phone. So whatever it is, just restrain, wait, read, then hit send. Okay? That'll help you so much. But you can absolutely get something done. And no is both a statement and a word. So is yes. So the fewest words that you can use to communicate something, that's what you want to do. Because I had an English teacher who surprised me with his message once, which was, big words don't mean you're smart. And using shorter, more concise, more readily understandable language makes you a better communicator because it's going to reach a larger audience. This is why instructions are often mostly pictures and maybe like 3 or 4 words, because it's simple and it's not going to be misconstrued. And it can be easily translated in other languages. So fewer words are better. You won't have as many issues tripping on things. Okay? Overall, pretty good week. We're going to move on to special topic energy here just in a second. So again, one more reminder. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We're really close to a milestone. If you'd like to give back in the way of super stickers, super chat, and memberships, please do that. Speaking of memberships, I said I was going to do it. We're starting it this week. I may do it bi-monthly. We'll see, like maybe every other week. Depends on interest, but there will be a members-only sort of check-in in the week. And what I plan to do is have a little bit more interaction with the people that show up. We'll keep it as members only. We can cover some deeper topics, perhaps, that wouldn't be here. We might even be able to meditate. We can do other things because I'm not so worried about, it's not about a wider audience. It's about the audience that really wants to show up and do work. So if you like it, let me know. That's something new that's coming. Okay. And it will change over time as we continue to dig into that. Okay, so the special topic today, ignition, creating the necessary spark. So I'm going to select a deck of cards here, and while I'm doing that, we'll pull up Apollo in the background. I think he's behind me. There he is. Sunbathing, but also getting too hot. Also, I received some new decks from US Games. They occasionally will send them to me, so I'll be doing an unboxing sometime over the next week. Hopefully we'll have some new ones coming in next weekend. So there you go. Always trying to keep things fresh and new. All right, again, close your eyes. See yourself in that circle of light. Let's call in once again angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. And we're looking at how to create a necessary spark in your life. So we'll see both the opportunities and the potential challenges with this, but ideas, change, inspiration. I was pleasantly surprised you chose this. I thought it was going to be, why isn't it working? The Hermit that came through, but you guys want to get inspired this week, which is always fun as a reader to read. So fascinating how many teamwork cards we've had over the past, feels like the past couple of weeks. Definitely the past couple of days with 10 of Cups and 2 of Cups and all of that. All right, let's get everything arranged. We're going to work through this and see what's going on. Okay, so we're going to begin first with your Catalyst card. Teamwork. So for me, teamwork constitutes many cards in tarot. I mentioned a couple of them. We've received them as daily cards. So you already have the 10 of Cups, the 2 of Cups. This could also be 6 of Cups, 4 of Wands, anything where we see that favorable exchange of energy, give and take, ebb and flow. So we're seeing it once again being the key to getting the spark. So you might be working also with like a coach, a career coach, a teacher, a mentor. You might be hanging out with a group of people that share a common interest that gets you inspired. This could even be like a book club or a team event. Looking at team, it could be even sporting, whatever. Anything where you are with someone or a group of people and it's like, I feel better, I feel inspired, I'm ready to rev up the engine, okay? Definitely playing a sport would constitute this. I mean, it's kind of part of what sports are all about. So sports, events, activities, and then mentorship and learning, all of that will help. And then if you're already in a major activity, a job, etc., you're going to do more together than apart. And of course, ironically, we have the 5 of Wands at the center. So it's a nice segue. Let's look at the spread here. Okay, big stuff coming through. I really like that we have the Wheel of Fortune. This is temperance, so that's what you're going to have to exude this week, is that sense of patience and you know, like one foot in, one foot out. And there is a decision here. What do you want with judgment? So we'll talk more about that in a second. Overall, very manageable. 2 of Pentacles making an appearance again, so there might be some limited resources. It wasn't accidental that it made an appearance at the beginning of the reading. Okay, we're going to start off with a challenge this week. This can actually be internal. It does not have to be in the people around you. 5 of Swords, beautifully illustrated here because it is internal. So this person, we have a couple people in the background, but look at what he's done. He's isolated himself. So the 5 swords in front of him could be can't, won't, never, etc. All of those sort of words that block us. It could also be, and what the way that this works, if you're wondering, but wait a second, isn't it about communicating with others? Yeah, but we also have an internal dialogue. I know some people don't have that voice within, but most of us do here like a dialogue in our head, someone talking, a voice, our own. So it's the thought or the feeling, depending on how your brain works, of possibility. Like, so sometimes it's sitting there saying, you can't do this. They won't like you. You're going to fail. This isn't how it goes. Usually we just realize that's the voice of what? Fear or anxiety or external world. And we're like, no, that's not me. I'm going to try this. Or you can use it and say, that's what you think. I'll show you. That's a great way to rev the engine. That's what athletes often do. If you lose a race, you're like, I'm going to work 10 times harder so that next time that doesn't happen. So prove someone wrong. Just say, hey, yeah, I know myself better than you. Thank you very much. So that's one thing that you can do, is dismiss the devil on the shoulder. Listen to the angel. We actually have temperance here, so that's what you want to listen to. Slow, steady, and calm, rather than the sort of negative stuff. There could be someone in your life, I'm going to pull the traditional illustration, that likes to get a rise out of you. And so they may say things. They could tease you. They could also just, anytime you say something, they're contrary, even if it has merit. And it's simply just to kind of, it's like gaslighting or getting in your head. So we're not going to let that kind of energy occupy too much space, because it doesn't help. But I did want to kind of illustrate that sometimes the Five of Swords, it's like that Taylor Swift song, Hi, I'm the Problem, It's Me. So sometimes we're the initiator of that. So if you feel like you are, just dismiss that version of yourself and say, not today. I'm trying to find it. But in the traditional one, what you'll see is a person in the foreground, kind of smirking, enjoying what's going on. And in that situation, again, it's not going to really help. So I would say, move beyond the fear, move beyond the person that might be pushing your here. Well, there it is. Okay. Here's your Five of Swords. That's the person, and you can even see, if we pull it really close, he's actually enjoying the process of getting you to freak out a little bit. So don't. And we're going to avoid giving someone more power than they deserve. Not worth it. Not worth the time. So whether it's the inner voice or it's someone here, eventually this could also be the person that's creating it, and they chose a different path in this particular deck, which was, it's ultimately a path of self-isolation. I'm double checking, but I'm pretty sure this one was reversed. So the reversal of this, again, is just saying, don't let yourself go down that path. Again, there are better ways to handle something. Yeah, it was reversed. There are better ways to handle something. This isn't the time. This isn't the place. All right. So moving on. What's crossing this is Five of Wands energy. Now, in this deck, it's kind of interesting. What we can see here is overlapping efforts. Even easier to see in the traditional illustration. I pulled it out while I was talking. Competition, conflict, and sometimes just a lack of leadership. That's what can happen with that. So you tune in thinking, well, Nicholas, when are we going to get to creating the spark? These are the two blocks. They came through immediately, so we don't have to fish through the whole spread. One is communication that's a waste of time, or those internal thoughts that aren't helping you. And the other is external distractions. Someone around you that is constantly copying you or competing with you, or maybe trying to get the attention of someone else, again, by kind of overlapping on your own thing. And so the best thing to do here is to lead the way and not get involved in the conflict, or better yet, to get people to cooperate. Because all of those wands with all of that energy going in a different direction, it's a waste of time. So better use of time than competition, than conflict. And because Five of Swords and Five of Wands can both be an argument or a conflict, don't do it. It's like that TikTok sound, I'm not going to do it, I did it. Don't do it. It's a waste. The argument won't be worth it. It may feel good to get fired up. You may think you proved something, but you'll walk away losing more than you gained. And so will someone else. And you can simply warn them, this isn't worth it. You can be the voice. Don't do it. And then really keep the distance after that. Okay? If we let go of all of that, now we're going to look at what's possible. So we got the blocks at the center. Thank you, universe. Now let's see what you've been doing to create positive movement in your life. Page of Cups. Love it. Many of you have decided to really work towards something that makes you happy. So I was talking to one of my friends the other day who is pivoting in their career, partly due to just some of the changing energy of the world right now, where certain things can't be done anymore because of the way the economies are changing and everything. And it kind of gave them an excuse to change it up. And they're like, and when they said it, I was like, oh, you're going to be so much happier on this path. You'll work harder. It won't seem like work. You're going to be happier. That'll make better health. So you're going to have health and prosperity and satisfaction. And sometimes we need that stuff at the center to say, this isn't worth it. This could be a job for some of you where you're like, bad communication, bad morale. I don't think I want this anymore. So you start to work on something. The page is learning, is speaking, is communicating, is moving forward. I like that there's a little bit of Six of Swords energy on this page. Speaking it can bring it into existence. There's a Kate Bush song, Cloud Busting, I think it is, or Cloud Bursting, where she says, even saying it could make it happen. So we're not in the Page of Swords, it's in here. So I'm encouraging you to speak up about what it is that you want. Articulate your passions. Someone has to start somewhere. That's how, like when two people meet, someone has to say hello. Someone has to ask the other person out. So speak your heart. Feels like you've already done the work. You know what you want. That's the most powerful piece. And if you don't, that's the homework for today. I say homework in a playful way, but it's like, it's the thing that you want to focus on. Let me take a drink and then we're going to talk about this, which is decision time. Okay, Justice, weighing the options. It doesn't always represent a legal fight. It doesn't always represent balance in your life, though it can. But the way she's coming through today is basically, am I going to do this, right? It's that decision of let's go. So I feel some of you are sitting on a decision. The heart has already told you what to do. So I would encourage you in this moment to, again, go for it. The weighing of the options could be looking at the cost for something that you really care passionately about. It could be getting some feedback from other people in your life, whatever you need to do. But ultimately, you're the one that's holding the scales. You're the one that has to make the decision. So there's an encouragement right now to do just that. I'm going to try one more time. Multitasking and talking while looking for a card is tricky. Standing up for what is right is important. There's a lot in the world right now that isn't. So maybe some of you are deciding, hey, I want to change this. I want to change something in my life. I want to change something in the world. I want to make a difference. So Justice is all of these things. She's standing up for what's right. She's weighing the options, but she holds a sword. And the sword is about taking action. I had to find this one because, it is in this deck, but I wanted to get all those elements to it. So this time around, you're going to be okay. It's funny, I was listening yesterday to an old song by LaRue, Bulletproof. This time, I'm going to be bulletproof. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I've done the work. I've made this work. This time, I'm going to land. I'm going to stick the landing. So you have to feel very confident in order to really make this work. So I want you to find that inner confidence so that it gets there, okay? And yeah, if something isn't right, you can absolutely fight for it. But let's say you're building something cool. Justice is legal. This is about getting like the paperwork for your company, a legal document that protects an idea, like a patent or a copyright or something of that nature. So it can also be building the legal foundation for growth and success. I was pulling a few cards while we were talking because I found it interesting that we have two angels next to each other. So we have Temperance and Judgment. There are only a few cards that have angels in the major arcana, and I really pay attention when they come through. The Lovers would be the other one. So you got like two of the three big angelic cards, which is amazing. So we'll look at both of the Temperance ones as we speak. So I like what they put on this deck with the word possibility. because it's saying sit with it for a second before making up your mind. Weigh out the options. There's a lot of balance, and these are two different types of balance. This is weighing a decision. Am I in? Am I out? This one is, how does this make me feel? This can help you make the decision. And anything worth doing, you should be able to take your time when you make it. So, like, I'm currently looking for a new place to live, but I'm not jumping because it needs to be, mostly just because I need to reduce the cost and I want to be away from the fires. So since they were so close to me this year. So I'm like, well, I like this place. It was good. It was better than the last. We need to do the same thing. It may take a month or two to find that. It may take 4 months, whatever it takes, I'll make it work. So you have to really balance out the decision to make sure that it's okay. No, don't rush. Test the water. I talked about the King of Swords in reverse needing to make sure that everybody felt okay before moving forward. So make sure you're not overly emotional. Make sure that other people aren't overly emotional. Then you can move to the path that's here. We have the beautiful crown. So something wonderful is going to happen. I'm all about movies, quotes, and songs today, but kind of always am, right? I'm thinking back to 2010, which was a follow-up to 2001, A Space Odyssey. But in 2010, it's basically, almost a decade after the original. And then, filmmaking was longer, but like the actual film itself was 10 years. So what happens in the movie is there's this character that went through a transformation. He was like this star child. And Dave, right? Yeah, because he was talking to the AI in that movie. But anyway, when he comes back, he's speaking through these devices and coming through in visions, and he keeps saying something wonderful is going to happen. And people keep saying, what? He's like, something wonderful. It's a great mantra, by the way, to wake up in the morning and just think something wonderful is about to happen and unfold, and I'm ready to receive it. So if you're really ready to receive it, think big. And movies like that, even the first is better than the second. They blow your mind because they're way out there. So there's something beyond expectation, something that you could reach for, like we saw in the Nine of Pentacles. And allow yourself to go there and see where it brings you, okay? So that's what I get here, is that there could be something wonderful. Okay, now let's look at what the near future is. So this is going to help you turn the ignition in the right direction. This is another potential block here. So we have Judgment, and they chose to take a different route on this one. So we'll go with this card, and then we're going to talk about the traditional one. So we see a phoenix in this card, and the phoenix allows you to rise up. In the traditional card, we see souls rising up. Phoenixes are very good analogies to that, so that's great. It's analogous. But there is this inner sort of decision, which is, I accept. I'm ready to release. I'm ready to move on. I can reinvent. So when the card is reversed, there's disbelief. And it could come from this, forgiveness. We can take it at face value. Some of you are thinking, if I had only done this, then I could have gotten there faster. Then I could have avoided this. Hindsight always yields a clearer lens, right? So don't beat yourself up. Don't cast such a hard sense of judgment on yourself, nor should you do that on others. More importantly, don't be afraid to try something new, because it isn't just it's a deeper card than the word judgment. You got both justice and judgment. Let's talk about the difference between the two, because sometimes when people first read, they get confused. This is weighing the options. Justice. Judgment it's already been decided. Literally, it's like the judge is giving you the decision. So you have to weigh it. You've made up your mind, but you're still doubting yourself. That's what we can put with this, because you are judge and jury. You are justice and judgment. Don't second guess what you know. You can ask other people to validate your opinion, but you already know. You don't need the validation. You don't need the acceptance. We'll look at the cards here, and I'll try to figure out why you're resisting it, but it might come through when I'm looking at some of the other stuff. So let's just see. I see inner resistance. Some of it might be because of this. I think it's going to be revealed as we look at these 4 cards here. So one thing that could be holding you back is this feeling of immediate gratification, because the Wheel of Fortune in reverse is I want it now. Also pulling a pop culture reference. If we think back to Willy Wonka, like the original one, not the remake, no disrespect to anybody that's remade it, but I kind of like the original one from the 70s. But yeah, there's this little girl where she's like, Daddy, I want it now. Was it Veruca Salt? Was that the one? Or Violet? I forget which one wanted it now. But anyway, there's something to be said for the process. And sometimes it's anticlimactic when you get what you want. So one thing that the universe is saying is like, enjoy this. Enjoy the building, enjoy proving to yourself, enjoy the incremental levels of success. And then when you get to that apex, when you get to the top, it will be rich, it will be worth it because you didn't get it automatically. And then sit there for a second when it happens. But the immediate gratification isn't what the universe wants to provide right now. It's saying it's the journey, not the destination. It's the lessons, not the payoff. And so sometimes we want something that is obviously going to be like, it's going to make sense to everybody. It has to make sense to you. And the payoff may be in 5 years, 5 months, 5 days. It doesn't matter, but it's not immediate. That's what I get with this. It's a very different interpretation, but that's what I got. You might be deciding to pivot in your career. I used to do this. I'm going to do this. You may have no choice but to pivot because we got the death card for certain signs this week. So some of you may be laid off. You might be promoted. You might have something come through where there's an offer, and any of these things can constitute also death. It's like, oh, everything changes right now. So lean into the change. Even if you weren't in that group of 3 signs that got the death card, I'm still seeing, this is a cyclical card. We can see all 4 seasons here, right? Spring, summer, winter, and fall. And so you have to sort of like look at the long term, how this is all going to pan out, and realize there's something bigger waiting. There's something wonderful, okay? If you're not getting enough, if it's not right, speak up. You actually have a good chance of getting what you want. Maybe not everything that you want, but a decent amount. So in negotiations or in situations where you're not getting compensated properly, definitely make sure that that is remedied. Okay. Ace of Cups in reverse in the environment. Less about you, more about what's going on around you. Now, I love that we have a hummingbird. Everything's going to be all right, but someone around you may be needing like a listening ear. Here's the free advice from the universe. You don't have to solve their problem. All you have to do is listen. And you can even say that. Say, I'm a good listener. I don't think I can help you with this, but I can help. I can be here for you. I can empathize with you. That also gets you off the hook, because if you don't know what to do or don't want to give them the advice, and you give them advice and they follow it and they don't like it, they're going to blame you. So just say, I can just support you. I can just give you a hug. I can empathize. All of those things will help. Be mindful of spilling the tea. So what I mean by that is don't gossip. And if somebody wants to dump all their garbage on you, you don't have to receive all of it. To a degree, you can listen. To a degree, you can empathize. But someone could just keep spilling the tea until you're drowning, or dumping all the garbage until you're trying to clean it up. So boundaries are good. And also limiting your scope of involvement is good, because we don't want you weighed down too much. It's around you, it's not you. But there's an interesting thing, because this is, the longer I've started to read, the more I see this as a mirror. It's not just the environment. Environments are partly choice and partly magnetized towards us. So you have to ask yourself, what is it in my life that pulls in this energy where people are dumping all this stuff or taking more than they should, etc. So having the boundaries and communicating those, I think, will be a start. And then you can think, who else can I spend time with? Where is it reciprocated? Where is there more balance, give and take? It's okay to stand up for yourself too. There might be unrequited love, someone interested when you're not, or vice versa. If that's happening, it's got to work both ways. Can't fake it, so don't. Okay, moving on. Hopes, fears, and opportunities. We have a wish fulfillment card, your dreams coming true. That's why I got that inclination that something beyond expectations could be coming forth, which is great. So yay for that. This can also be a card of extremes. So best day ever, worst day ever, sky is falling, the world is my oyster. So let's try not to go to the extremes. Let's try to celebrate success when it happens. Have a good time. This is encouraging you to spend some time with people that you love, doing things that you like, enjoying life. And also imagining, I can get what I want. It's possible. I deserve this. These are good thoughts to have. So go for it, whatever your dream or aspiration is, because this represents, yes, you got it. Okay? Just avoid the extremes. And I think as long as you do that, you'll be all right. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to talk about with that. I think that's it. That's it for now. Okay. Let's move on to hopes, fears, and opportunities. Yeah, we have the Two of Pentacles here. Interesting that this makes another appearance. You can't be everywhere at once. You can't be everything to everyone. You can't make everyone happy. These are things that will help you in your life. If you try to be everything to everyone or make everyone happy, you won't succeed, typically. You won't be happy in the process, and people aren't going to respect you as much because you don't have the boundaries, and you're coming across as people-pleasing and like being indecisive. So in this situation, this is why there's an encouragement to say, in order to do this, I need this. Or this is where my passion is. I like to focus on this. Do you want this? Like, just put it out there. Like those of you that got the King of Swords in reverse. And there is sometimes a meeting in the middle, but it is compromise when that happens. It's interesting that that's the second time that we got the Two of Pentacles. When it comes to just general resources, I'm acknowledging right now that many of us don't have everything that we want or everything that we need. So we actually got the key to that. It's others, leaning on others for support. Together, I said this with the Ten of Cups, together we're better, together we're stronger, together we can make a difference. You don't have to do it on your own, and you may not be able to do everything on your own. So in a business, you might need an investor. In life, you might need a friend or a therapist. In general, to make change happen, you might have to work as a group. Mobilize. That's going to help. So I get that you don't have enough. Thankfully, here's your answer for that. We'll look more into this as we expand the forecast, which was what we're going to do next. We're going to go a little deeper into health, wealth, love, and destiny. We're going to start off with health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. Let's see what the Oracle card has to say. Grace. Easier said than done, because the card is reversed. So the Five of Swords is why this is coming through. It is so hard not to take the bait when somebody tries to incite an argument. If you can approach it from a pragmatic and practical perspective, you can diffuse it. I wish I had taken the second of these two classes, but in high school I took a debate class. I think it was called Speech and Rhetoric. And then there was like Speech and Rhetoric 2, and I should have done it, but it taught me to do what we're doing here, which was to speak unscripted to other people. But it also instructed me, because part of it was debate, so it wasn't just public speaking. It was how can you reach across the aisle to someone who has a different point of view to you. So one of the ways that you can do it, one of the best ways, is to concede to the opposition at the beginning. It's not going to be the whole point of the argument. So you empathize. We don't see it anymore, do we? We just see people that really just don't listen and don't take it in. So what you would say is, I understand. I hear what's going on. I see it. You know what? I actually felt it before. I wanted what you wanted. But something happened in my life that changed everything. If you're willing to listen to me, it might also change it for you. Are you willing to listen? Can we talk about that? Knowing that I respect your point of view, and I once held it. Usually the person is, because you haven't made them feel bad for themselves. You haven't judged them. You're just actually trying to engage them in an opportunity or a different perspective. And politeness and decorum and kindness, which is so lacking in the world right now, it can get you so far. yes, there's a point where it's too much. Like sometimes just say what you want. But it's really nice to have someone hear, or for you to hear, like, oh, I'm not out there. This is something that you understand, like we have a commonality. Then you can also bring it together. Say, we may hold different viewpoints, but I think we both want this, right? We can agree on this. So you've conceded that they have a good point of view, or you had that point of view at one point. You concede that you both want something. Could there be a different way than what they want and what you want to get it? Could there be something in the middle? It's more powerful. It's more powerful than polarization. But all we have is polarization right now. I think everybody needs more classes in psychology, communication, history, and rhetoric. It will help you because listening is part of this. So the grace piece contains all of that. To be graceful, you have to be kind. To be graceful, you have to empathize. To be graceful, you need to listen. And you don't want to be dismissive. So we all have to lead by example because in the world in general, we don't see it that much anymore, right? We do in certain situations, but not as much as we did maybe like 10, 15, 20 years ago. So be the example of grace. It's a little bird. I was like, what is that that's in there? It's just a little bird flying. Okay? And if you can't, walk away. Or say, let's talk later. This is broken down. We're no longer being productive. Let's talk tomorrow. Because you're not saying, I don't want to talk. Just say, I don't want to talk under these conditions. Okay? That will help. It's coming through in health, but this is going to help you from arguing with friends, with family, with coworkers. It's going to help you from getting distracted. And you don't have to do it alone. There may be someone around you that can help with this. And one of the most powerful things in life is if you can turn someone that was completely on the other side to your team. It's like converting and attracting and helping. That's what teaching is. That's what knowledge is. That's why typically when you look at in history, moments in time where like books were burned or schools were closed or things like that, it's because knowledge is power. So use knowledge as your pivotal turning point to make sure. It's very hard to dispute cold facts. That's the other thing. Don't use opinions, use knowledge and facts, and expose when the other person isn't using that. That will help you as well. Okay, looking more from like a body, mind, body, spirit, that kind of took us even into all of the expanded forecast, but that's what I got with grace. We're gonna do this a little different. Like I don't want to go that deep in everything, but that's what came through there. Okay, some of you are working too hard. Some of you may have an unhealthy relationship. The two may be related. It could be a boss or a coworker. Please take care of that. Please don't give them more mental real estate than they deserve. If you have an outlet, a creative outlet, now is the time to lean into that. If you don't, now is the time to create it. Finding balance in your life is really important, again, because both of these cards have balancing elements. We have the scales, we have the two cups. So making sure that everything balances out, how much you're working, how much you're taking care of your health, the time that you can spend with your family and friends. We need that balance. You might have had a really close call. Something almost went in a direction that you didn't want. Judgment is a wake-up call. Like literally this angel is blowing its horn and saying, wake up. And you have to change. There's no going back because this is rebirth. So they can't go back into their bodies. They're going to be something else. So you got to make a change. How are you going to make it? One step at a time, because we have Temperance here saying, don't make a radical change overnight, one step at a time. Forgive yourself. Work on forgiveness as well in general. It's not easy, but it's really powerful. Boundaries with others, as we said earlier, and avoiding vices, caffeine, alcohol, work, whatever your vice is, smoking. This can take you to an extreme that brings you out of your balance. By the way, I missed it. This is another balance card. So we have 3 balance cards. So it's all about recalibrating. This is recalibrating your resources. This is loving and forgiving yourself and kind of recalibrating the heart. And this could be balancing everything else. So this is a period in time where it all has to as if we had like a spreadsheet of our life, but it all has to add up. If something is subtracting too much, it's time to move in a new direction. Again, teamwork makes the dream work. I think working with a group, whether that's a support group or working with friends or whatever, lean on the support of others. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to wealth. We have the frog. We have the toad here. So this is your resources, your life purpose, and your career. We have the frog in reverse. So you might be taking a step back. But the thing with the frog is the frog can move pretty quickly. I like to see the frog kind of as like the fool, a leap of faith. And also the ability to thrive in different environments because the frog can be in the water and on land. In fact, it started its life in the water. By this particular phase, you could even imagine in some strange tarot deck that this would be like the King of Cups, because usually I would choose a fish instead, but he started his life in the water. He's kind of transformed a little bit. But anyway, you're really allowing yourself to take a necessary move, but it may not be completely, what I'm getting here is it could be lateral, or it could be a sidestep. It's not everything that you want. There is a little bit of compromise. I get it. The markets are changing. We have to acknowledge like there's a massive shift. So employment, money, everything's going to be a little different. We can't get everything we want all the time. So there might be some compromise or some frustration. But the toad, the frog, any amphibian that for that matter, has the ability to wade it out and can kind of exist on different planes. So being flexible, taking that side step, moving over here, trying this, mixing it up a little bit is going to be really, really important. Okay? All right. Moving onward. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. So I'm going to break this down into 5 subcategories because it helps. We're going to try to glean as much as we can from each of those 1 cards so that we keep this at a reasonable length, since I went way into the grace card. But let's see what's coming through. So we'll look at those of you that have a traditional 9 to 5. We'll look at those that have their own company, entrepreneurs. Then job seekers. Then we're going to look at students, followed by retirees. Okay. For those that are currently employed, there is, for some of you, this feeling of discontent. It could just simply be some things that are going on. It could be a project at work. It could be the environment, like we were talking about. There's some energy here with competition, miscommunication. There may also be this worry of like what's going on with the company. And it's a valid worry. The Judgment card in reverse, I'm just going to put this to the side, represents restructuring. But it's already been decided for the most part. So it feels like there might be an announcement. Something's being drawn up paperwork-wise. So 2 ways you could look at this. For those of you that have been looking for a leveling up, the fact that we have the Wheel of Fortune, you're going to get that, but it hasn't been decided completely. There is one trade-off. It may not be everything monetarily that you wanted. Some sort of a trade-off. So some of you are getting what you want from the title perspective, but not a money perspective. Some of you are in a company that has to restructure, or they're rethinking this next quarter, and there may not be all of the opportunities that you wanted. So you get this, you have like 3 cards of deciding, do I want to stay, do I want to go? And it's okay to be unhappy because you've worked hard to get to this moment. None of us want to hear that there's, a delay or that something's changing. There could be a new boss that's coming in as well with this. So some of this is creating this emotional sort of like lump in your throat, and you're like, why is this happening? On the bright side, no matter where you go in the future here with the Wheel of Fortune, I feel like you can take this, this skill set, this value, and you're going to be fine. If you choose to stay, there's a little bit of a trade-off. I think the key thing here is not to give in to emotions too much. And this is a card of positivity, 9 of Cups. You attract more bees with honey than vinegar, right? So this is really what you want to focus on here is the communication that we talked about, like trying to be leading by example. And then explore what else is out there. You're always allowed to question, and that is what Temperance is doing. I'll stay here for now, but I'm going to start to test the waters somewhere else. I'm going to see what else is out there. Don't leap until you're ready. That's why the frog or the toad is reversed. Ultimately, we didn't get the death card. We did get judgment, though. So some of you are already in the throes of restructuring. Some of you, you know it's happening, and this is just confirming it. But there was no devil and there was no tower, so that portends good things. There are changes. I mean, we have to expect it because at least for the next week, and that's what we're looking at, everything's been shaken up. I don't get into that. I'm just talking about financial markets here. Obviously, things are strange. So I'm not surprised to see strange cards here. So it's important to not overreact, and that's why temperance came through. Okay? All right. One step at a time. Don't make any sudden movements. Weigh out all the options. Changes are already happening. Positivity, though, is your biggest key to success, and that was what Ignition was all about. All right. Focusing now on those that are in their own company, like basically entrepreneurs, self-starters. Four of Swords. Take a break, just like we see here. It also can represent a period where there's a little bit of a plateau or a lull. Again, given all the changes in the financial markets right now, I'm not surprised. I think it's really important to recalibrate. You can't make any sudden movements until the dust settles. Four of Swords is an interesting sort of energy because self-care is part of it, so please take care of yourself. The sort of like flat line that I'm talking about where it's a plateau, it's just saying, okay, so for this week, a bit of a plateau. But there could also be an internal decision, okay, I'm done with this. You might be done with a product, a service, a line of business, or the company in general. But before making any decisions, you have to sleep on it. Also, with the Four of Swords. Okay? High level energy in the spread that I want to talk about. I actually quite love that you got the Wheel of Fortune. Things can turn around. You can turn this around. It is important to make some changes and recalibrate. I think that an optimal outcome can happen here, but something has to give, or something has to be delayed. Back when I used to have a traditional job, I remember it was either the timeline, the budget, or the scope. Those were the things that it was called like the iron triangle. So you could pull at one of those, but the other two would have to give. So think about what it is that you're willing to give on, and you have to be flexible. That's why there's a rubber band here. So if you want everything now, you need more budget or you need more people. And if you can't have more budget, then you have to possibly limit scope or your human resources or something like that. So choices. Choices have to be made, and then reevaluation. I think each and every week, probably you're going to be recalibrating because things are changing at such a rapid clip that it's very hard to see past. It's kind of good that we do this every week, right? You can look at a week at a time and see how is it now. And so you want to make decisions that will allow you to scale up and down. So you don't want to cut too much and you don't want to add too much. You want to have just enough flexibility. That's the best that I can give right now for those that have their own company. It's about flexibility. Job seekers, you're a little tired. Strength card in reverse literally can mean exhaustion. It's also about how can I come across as the strongest candidate? How can I be bold? We have that beautiful, what a great Leo energy. Love the lion behind them. So does she have little hearts in her eyes? Yeah, it's like the emoji. So being able to come across as someone that people can't forget, that they have to reach out to, that they're going to bookmark, that's what you want to be. We only get like very small moments to make a splash. Back in the olden days, you had face-to-face interviews. Now it's like how you put the information in an online portal, or if you're lucky enough to go to a hiring event, you might have a minute with somebody. Make it count. However you're doing it, make it count. And even when you're inputting stuff in fields on an online thing, really focus on that you're adding value to this. This could work out, that something wonderful could happen. Send it, let it go. know that if you get an immediate reply, that company's not really interested rather. They probably have an AI recruiter. But otherwise, and let that be what it is. Like if they're that understaffed or that unable to look at stuff, find another way, find another avenue, find another place. Don't let it deplete you. That's the one thing that I'm getting here. You might be looking at changing the career trajectory completely. So again, judgment is reinvention. We have the Phoenix here, but it's saying, I want to try something else. I feel the pinch too, like it's looking at this and saying, how am I going to make this go further? What I used to have doesn't work the way it used to because money doesn't go as far right now. Right now. We don't know how long. This can also be a chance to look beyond not just like what you're doing in your field, but where you're living and where you're working. So really allowing yourself to kind of break the mold. Can you find something? Yes. But again, I feel like this is going to be the key on this one. Working with someone else, whether it's a recruiter, going to recruiting events, anything where you can get in a larger group, talking to your friends and former coworkers, or if you're, we'll be talking about students in a moment, but like even former classmates, all of those things can help. Okay. Be mindful of a couple of things. I do think we can't fixate solely on this. That is the reason that work is, that you're seeking the job is money. But also don't forget, this is especially for those that are seeking work. What are you getting into? What are people saying online? What are former employees that you might know saying? Because this is poor communication and morale, and this is a lack of leadership. So unless you're coming in to fix that, that could be something to be mindful of. There's one golden goose here. There's one good option out there, but there's one that's not so good. So I really want you to focus on that. Okay, moving on to students. Pretty good card here with the King of Swords. This is just about making sure that you're focusing on the communication skills. Like I talked about, I think everybody would benefit from a communication class of some sort. It feels like you're doing a lot. And I get a little bit of fatigue with this as well. So just make sure that you're pacing yourself. Speak up if you have a question. Speak out if you need something. Take action if you need to. Overall, the King of Swords is a really good card for education, even in reverse. The challenges right now could be financial. You might be looking at your, this is literally happening right now for many people. Their grants are going away, right? So you're like, well, I don't know, I can't see past this semester. So have a plan B if you have scholarships or grants that are in danger because of the changing financial markets. But also make sure that you're looking at how long it's going to take. I have to do the math on mine, but it's over 30 years that it took me. And I went to school when it was less expensive. I talked to someone the other day with a friend. We were out for brunch, and in one semester, it was basically what I had for my entire graduate degree. And it was more than I paid for my entire graduate degree. One semester. And I was like, what? That's crazy. How do you ever, this person, I can't imagine how you would ever pay it off. It was going to be like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So really think, is this the right time, the right school, the right place? Because there are other ways to get the education, including studying abroad, including going to state universities, and balance it out. That's what I did with my education. I went to, not my first choice for undergraduate, but then my graduate degree was what I wanted because I was able to save a little bit and pay for what really mattered for that. But you don't always have to get, you have to look at the long term because the bills are there for a while. And depending on, this isn't true of every country, but still when you go to a private institution, usually when you go to graduate school, you have to pay for that. Certain types of training and certification usually have to pay for that. So let's just make sure that we're doing the cost analysis and seeing if there isn't a better program or more competitive program, because we have to shop around when the economy is a little strange. Because it is an investment in yourself, which I highly encourage, but it's your debt and investment as well, okay? So all of that matters. You might be changing schools, majors, or programs, particularly with justice and judgment. If it gets you what you need, that's fine. But otherwise, a card of success. We need to look at the finances. It's okay to transfer. It's okay to change. Okay. Retirees. This is what many of you have been doing this week, keeping a close eye on the investments. One thing that I wish my parents weren't, when they were living, they weren't super communicative about investments. And there was a point where my dad lost half of his retirement because he didn't make good choices. It was very sad to see. And because he lived through one of these economic downturns, and you have to be smart. Talk to a financial advisor. The other thing is, the closer you are, when you're in the throes of retirement, you shouldn't have aggressive investments because markets are volatile. So the closer you get to retirement, the more you want to have secure, liquid, accessible investments. Put all the disclaimers I can here. I am not a financial advisor, but that is common knowledge. Talk to a financial expert if you need to. This is a period to get really, really strategic. I like that the card is upright. It feels like you are fine, but talk about the money. Talk about it to your kids. Talk about it to a financial investor. Talk about it to your tax person. Get 2 or 3 pieces of advice. Talk. Read, learn, educate yourself. The previous generation in particular, people that were born much earlier in last century, were not as open about that. So I think we've seen over the past 3 or 4 decades more transparency and communication. Talk. It will help you feel safer, and you'll have more of a chance to land on your feet. If you have money, now could be a time where there may be more investments and opportunities available. Again, with the page upright, that is the flip side to bad economic times. Sometimes there are purchasing options. So it is upright. So if you're doing well, good for you. Invest wisely, though, and get multiple pieces of advice. Definitely want to look at the money right now if you're retired, because you don't want to have to go back to work, right? All right, enough with that. I think one thing here is you don't owe an explanation to anybody for whatever you're doing in your life. The fun thing about being retired, just like having your own company, is you're your own boss. So this could be everyone weighing in on what you should be doing. There are some decisions at hand. Some of you are looking at new things that you might be interested in. Creative ventures are coming through. Art and any sort of like dance and anything creative. Like I'm getting a bunch of just, I kind of keep seeing like a paintbrush in my head. So whatever you want to do that allows you to express yourself, or maybe it is travel like we see here, fine. But definitely shop around for the best deal and wait a bit, because you're going to see things change. Now, some things you would want to get now because costs are going to go up because of things that are happening in the world. But there may be other things where they may go down. So you have to be strategic. This is a weird time if you're purchasing. If you're going to travel, if you're trying to purchase a large ticket item, it depends on where it is, where it's from, where you're at. All of these things are strange right now. That's the best that I can say. So you want to be very, very methodical about it. And I like that she's looking at this with great thought. Okay? Okay. I think we're done here. We're going to move on now to love. There was a lot to say. I'll say what I need to say as I go through this. I feel like you all show up for the live stream, so sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're longer. Spirit will keep talking through me as long as it needs to. All right, learn from the bees. We talked about attracting bees with honey, not vinegar. Positivity gets you to the destination that you want to go to. Bees are also absolutely connected to teamwork. Not just teamwork, they're the Hierophant. They are the most structured, one of the most structured groups of insects out there. I mean, ants are pretty structured as well. But there's that queen bee, and then there's a ton of workers and a few drones, and I think there's some miscellaneous ones. But basically, they all know the pecking order, and there's something valuable about that. So being very organized and very structured is what I learned from the bees too. And there's only one queen bee. So if you're in a room filled with big personalities in relationships or in life in general, there's someone there that wants to be the queen bee. So if that isn't good for you, if you don't agree with the queen bee, you got to find another hive. Right. I stretched the metaphor, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, briefly looking into relationships. If you're in a relationship, changes. If you are looking for love, and if you are single and happy. All right. We have a lot of change coming through. Don't be nervous. So death in reverse is leaning into the change. So death in a relationship can be this. Yes, it can be divorce or separation. Let's just get that out there. So some of you might be looking at that, and I'll help you through that. But if we take that elephant out of the room, it can also simply be the death of the old self. The minute you step on the altar and say, I do, the single self, it's like you're being reborn. So the single you dies, the married you exists. Now there's this new sort of energy. When a baby is born, the relationship as it was is no longer. Now there's 3 or 4 or more. So you're changing things up. When you retire, when you get a new job, when you move, these are deaths of self. Some part of you goes away, something new comes forth. It's seasonal change, right? So that's what we're seeing in the relationship. Are you growing together, or are you going in different paths? You're either growing or you're going. And that's basically what I get with this. Then there may be a Scorpio in your life too. But the reversal of this could also be stagnation. Like, why aren't we growing? Why are we stuck? So if it is stagnating, then it's a question of like, are we in or are we out? So let's look at the cards. It's a choice. Takes 2 to tango. One of you's in, one of you's still deciding in this situation. This is karmic energy, because we have death and rebirth basically with these 2 cards. So because judgment shows the other side of death. So there's a lot, and the karma here is, it feels like there's been a deep passion before, but right now the challenge is conflict and communication. If you can get an improvement in those areas, wish fulfillment here. So this can totally turn around if you're in a place where you're like, I'm not sure, or we're arguing a lot. You are probably going to need someone else. Not just a tarot reading, this would be a therapist. So yes, you can make it work, but it takes teamwork to make the dream work. And the spilling of the tea here. Again, maybe one partner needs more help than the other, and you're not the doctor, like the Alanis Morissette song. You can't solve everything. Choices. If you choose to make it work, you can make it work, all right? For everyone else where there's not major issues, here's what I see. Major change in your life. Could be loss of a job, birth of a baby, major change. You want it, but it still feels intense. There's acceptance that's a part of this, one step at a time. Elevate communication. Stress often makes it less elevated. I do see a lot of love, but I see one party needing more support than the other. Do what you can. It can work out, give and take. So mostly good, but I call it as I see it, and this could be a challenging week in relationships just because one party needs a little bit more than the other. That's where the teamwork, that's where the better or worse comes through. So this is a week to support and lift up and elevate. That's why I got the elevator too, elevate the communication. Moving onward, if you're looking for love, what do you want? 7 of Cups is a curious, somewhat confused, maybe even just sort of like overwhelmed card. It's not that, it's this. I was going to do the fireworks, but it's more this. We want the fireworks. This is what you want to feel, is that sense of, aha. If you don't feel it, don't fake it. Don't overthink. We're going to go through tons of pop culture references today. So in While You Were Sleeping, the Sandra Bullock character falls in love with someone who goes into a coma. And spoiler alert, it's been around for like 30 years or something. But when he wakes up, he says something like this. He's like, you know, my parents love you, my friends love you, I might as well. That's not the way to propose to someone. That's not, he's trying to talk himself into it. He had no connection with her on screen. Or like, it was just, he was in a coma. He woke up and he's like, who are you? There was no connection. So if you don't feel a connection with someone, don't fake it. Even if everyone around you is like, this is your dream girl, or your dream guy, or your dream job, or your dream path. No, it's not. Not if you don't feel it. So You got to feel it. Don't fake it. You have choices. Don't limit yourself. Sometimes we are too limited. So this is also saying, does it have to be this age, this career, this location, all this? So maybe opening yourself up. And if there's just a general sense of being overwhelmed or confused, maybe now isn't the time. But this is a card of options and opportunities and not overthinking. Those are the main takeaways if you're looking for love. Can you find someone? Yeah. But they may feel it more than you, or you may feel it more than them. You need to take it a step at a time. This isn't about talking yourself into it. There may be someone who's been burned. So we have a card that can represent divorce and being on the rebound. If you meet someone, or bad breakup. So they're like, yeah, I like you, but I got to protect myself. So slowly, gently, one step at a time. This can be you too. You're like, we'll see where this goes. It's not that they're not feeling it or that you're not. It's that I don't want to get burned. So I can respect that. So give them time and space. You should still feel the inner spark though. Okay? Might take a couple of weeks, couple of months for it to grow into what it's meant to be. But if you're constantly thinking, I don't know, if you can't get clarity, that's all you need. A lack of clarity is a lack of clarity. At some point, it's just sort of like you ask the question, and if you don't get what you need, you move in a new direction. Karmic energy is coming through. So I really feel like your heart would skip a beat when you meet someone like karmic, I've had situations where before I even knew what intuition was, I remember being in a cafe and someone was checking me out, and it was a karmic relationship but I looked around, I was like, I could tell that they were in there, that someone was looking at me. I've had other situations where best friends in my life, you just kind of have this connection with them, even though it's not romantic, like you have a spark and you know that that's your best friend, that you're gonna go the distance. I've had this happen multiple times. So when you know, it's there. There's no doubt. And you're like, why do I feel this? It's because that's an alignment of souls. You just have to figure out the karma, and if you're going to do something this lifetime that's different. In all of these examples, I didn't date anybody. Most of these people are friends. One of the people was like, no, I'm not going to go down that path, because I could see the karma and I didn't need it. So just because you feel the spark doesn't always mean that you do something. Sometimes it's a platonic sort of spark. Sometimes it could be romantic, but you think, but the karma's heavy. So sit with it this week. Finally, for retirees, everything's changing here. We've got the upside down. The hangman is honestly a chance to hang out and look at something from a different perspective. But some of you might be thinking, Nicholas, ... This isn't what I signed up for. I didn't work this hard for this many years for X, Y, and Z to happen. I'm validating that thought is okay. But maybe it's encouraging you to look in a different direction. I'm going to leave you with this. We all signed up for this moment in time in whatever situation we've been in, because it's a major learning experience that we're collectively doing, just like COVID, right? We all decided to be here for that. So when major changes and moves happen in the world, we're here to hopefully, that's why I'm here, to help. Not to divide, not to make things worse, but to help. So in this moment in time, lean on the team. You can come here. It's a safe space. You can talk to other people in your life that love and support you. Find the safe spaces and just hang out. I kind of like that he's playful. This reminds me of a kid, like on the bars, the upside down bars, monkey bars, and jungle gym, whatever you want to call it. But like I remember hanging upside down and getting dizzy and looking at stuff and letting the blood rush to your head for a second, and it gave you a different view of the world. So hang out for a second, and before you move or make a change, make sure that you've looked at everything, all inclusive. Let's look at destiny. Well, hello. We have the cemetery, which is death and rebirth, new beginnings. So this is on the other side. This is after death. This is after judgment. Everything has been laid to rest. Now we have butterflies, and we're looking at the old, out with the old, in with the new. This isn't everything's changed, but also there's a lot that's remained the same within you. Now I sound like the character from Bridesmaids, Kristen Wiig when she's arguing with Rose's character, or whatever. But she's like saying, yeah, the more we change, the more we stay the same. But you know what I'm saying? There's a part of you that still, through the metamorphosis, is you. The world can change, your job can change, you can change, but the essence of you remains. I think that's what she was trying to say in that movie, maybe not as articulate. So allow yourself just to explore this new chapter, and I think that will help. I'm looking at the angel at the end of this path. So I want to get back to the inevitability of change. I think I've shared this before, but so my mom passed away 3 years. It was just this past week that it was the 3-year anniversary, and I'm in a very good place now, which is why I can talk about it. But prior to COVID, I had seen this vision where the angel of death was with my mom, and there was this procession of souls, and I knew that it was her time. She tried to hide from the angel, but the angel kept coming through. And then she just said, I'm sorry, it's time. I'm like, I know it's time. And I woke up sobbing. But that's when I really got a different understanding for death. Death was peaceful. Death was kind. It was showing me, prepare for change. It's inevitable. You can't stop it. The when, she can control. The if, no. It's soon. So when we see like the death card or a death thing like this, like the new beginnings, it's saying, it's happening. It's happened. It's here. The box is open. Once you get to a place of accepting that everything's changed, then you can figure out how you want to lean into the change and how you can prepare for the next step. So we have gotten a lot of cards today with judgment and new beginnings that are reassuring us that it will be okay. It's a figurative death in this spread. So we have this figurative death and rebirth, but it can't be avoided. That's one thing that I've learned. We can change how we react to the next thing, but the world as we know it has changed. So we have to adjust to the change. And in doing that, there can be a sense of empowerment and a sense that we have our head on our heads, head on our shoulders, or whatever you want, you know what I'm trying to say, that we're going to be all right. But it takes a moment. So give yourself a moment. Okay? We're going to meditate, and then we're going to take a look at one final card. It can be anything that you need some advice on. I may also just pull an ignition card too at that point. So let me see how I feel. I might do a reader's choice. Okay, not the final card yet. We're going to meditate. Sorry. Close your eyes for a moment. Take your shoulders, roll them forward and backward a few times, kind of loosening out any sort of tightness you might have. Give yourself a little bit of a gentle neck and shoulder massage as well. Take a deep breath. Let everything go. Relax the muscles in your neck, your shoulders, even the jaw. Disengage the jaw. Imagine that your scalp can relax as well. And see yourself just kind of floating on a fluffy cloud in the sky. Looking at the firmament, looking at the sky, looking beyond, and seeing that the universe is vast. Sometimes we get caught up in a moment, in a relationship, in a job, in a moment in time in the world, and we forget that there's something bigger, there's something wonderful. I want you to focus on what you're trying to create, getting back to the basics. Who am I? What do I want? Where am I going? That's what I can control today. I can't control everything around me. I can't control everything that's happened, but I can control my next step, and I can control my reaction. Pick a point on the earth beneath you where you feel safe, where you feel supported, and imagine that, like a feather, you're gently floating towards that destination. You can imagine anything that you want in this moment, that it's a safe and comfy bed, that it's falling into the love or to the arms of your lover or your family or your friends. You can imagine that you're falling into a nice place of safety and stability. Gently let the feather land. Imagine now that your body is where that feather is, that you have made that safe sort of landing and that you're at your destination. Allow your heart to be the compass to help you get to that point in time, and allow the feather to give you this energy of lightness, of levity, of flexibility. Open your eyes. Focus now on one final question. Let's see what Spirit has to say. Fantastic. Okay, we got the Magician. She's reversed. Yes, it's possible, but you have to believe and you have to focus. A reverse magician either is in a state of disbelief or distraction. So gather up your tools, gather up your common sense, focus. Believing is seeing, not the other way around. I mentioned I saw a paintbrush. Here it is. So, but it's kind of like sketching out the details. It's going to take time for everything to fill in. So that's what I get with that. For everyone else, this is a chance for you to be a little bit more, it's kind of like pulling at something that you haven't done in a while and saying, I really want to just trust that I can do this. Say that you are the thing that you're learning to be before you're even there. So if you're going to school and studying creative writing, just say, I am a writer. I'm perfecting my craft. If you're studying how to read cards, you are an intuitive. You're learning how to read. It's not that I want to be, you are, and you're creating the path towards expertise, towards mastery. You're really in the Eight of Pentacles energy in this moment. And then you're allowing the Magician to bring it all together. So you already are what you seek. You're just amplifying it through the next steps. One last card, Reader's Choice, just because, then we'll wrap up. How do you turn the key? That was the whole point for tuning in today. Four of Cups. There's a hidden blessing. It's not obvious. It's right there. She's focusing on what isn't, what was, what others have, but something different, something better, something wonderful. Something that's not super obvious as well. So I want you to look around, and a lot of times when we get that energy, it's just about opening ourselves up to see it from a different angle or a different perspective. All right, folks, thank you for joining me today. Again, if you like what you see here, it's 100% free to do this. So why not hit the like and subscribe button? I appreciate it. You can also choose to give back in super stickers, super chat, and memberships. I'll be looking at all of those here in just a moment. And additionally, if you'd like to join me across social media, it's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all the major platforms, and nicholasashbaugh.com on Blue Sky. That's also my website if you need more information about me. Okay, now, with all of that being said, I want to say thanks. Thanks to everybody for showing up. And actually, before I even get into the thank yous, I'm going to take a moment here, and because we're in a new month, I'm going to gift a few memberships just in case you've never had a chance to come to one of the special members only readings, or if you want to kind of see what the perks are, I'll do that. Let me gift that here in just a second. And as I'm doing that, a reminder that everything here is like supported by all of you. So I just want to say thanks for showing up, and thanks for being the best part of what I do here. All right, let me see if I can gift this. I have to kind of go to the live version of this, open up a new tab, and here we go. And then I have to kind of gift it as me. All right, so here we go. Membership gifting. I'm going to gift 5 right now. So to the lucky 5 that got this, congrats. You can join in this Tuesday, I believe, when I do a live stream. Again, that will be for members only. Okay, now, all that being said, let me take a couple moments here to express some gratitude. So to the following people, welcome or welcome back. All right, here are the newest members. Okay, Vivian, MJ, Charlie, Corey, Annabelle, Amy, Jigyasa, I think it is, Catherine, Josephine, Sherry, Melissa, let's see, Rulio, and I'll have to get the rest when I look at some of them kind of go away. So let me go ahead and go into the fan funding. So give me a second here and I'll say the rest after Rulio. All right, continuing this, let's take a look at those that have celebrated anniversaries and become a member. So Jade, welcome. Good to have you. Devin, Tahoe, thank you so much for gifting 5. I appreciate that. Leslie, welcome. Renee, thank you for gifting a membership. Frederick, thank you for gifting 5. That's amazing. We got a lot of gifts today. JJJJ, thank you for gifting 1. Deborah also for gifting 1. Colette for 5. Gosh, so many gifts today. Thanks, guys. Teresa Meyer, a lot of you can enjoy the reading on Tuesday. Schoolhouse Intuitive, thank you for gifting 2 in 1 gift bursts. I appreciate that. Heather, thank you for gifting 1. Another one from Schoolhouse Intuitive, thank you. And much appreciation and gratitude to you for that. And another, okay, now you gave 5. You're amazing. Thank you for that. Okay, let's see. And then I gifted 5. There's almost too many to thank. So to all those that were just gifted today, it won't let me see all of them, but welcome. You are a part of this family and I appreciate you. I kind of can only see the top 15 without it scrolling. It's an error in YouTube. So I love you. I see you. And I saw that Dakota also went through and welcomed all of you. All right, now taking a look at fan funding, anybody that gave back with a super sticker or super chat, let's give you some love as well. All right, here we go. Jeannie, Anne, Georgia, Yolanda, Donna, Kristen, Schoolhouse Intuitive, Alice, Phoebe. Okay, and I think that's it. A couple of those are from last week. And thank you, Donna, for the extra big amount. I appreciate that. All right, I think I got everybody. I really appreciate everyone that showed up. Anne, Elizabeth, you just gave. Thank you. Jeannie, also thank you for that last little piece. I think I got all of it. If I didn't, I'll see it on the replay. And again, you'll see it on the main channel page, but there's going to be a special members reading this Tuesday. Depending on the popularity of this, I might do it a little bit more often, whether it's like every other week or we'll see. We'll see how many people show up and how much you like it. But it should be a chance for us to go a little bit deeper into some topics, for me to look at what you guys are putting in the chat, possibly do some Q&A. So I'll leave it at that. Wishing you all the best. Thank you again for showing up today. I know you have a lot of choices here on YouTube. I appreciate that you made this a part of your day here on Sunday. Thanks to Dakota for your help with moderation. Thanks to everybody just for showing up, because I do recognize we are in challenging times and just showing up here is enough. But for those that gave back a little bit extra, that's why I'm doing some extra things for you as well. All right, from my heart to yours, wishing you a fantastic week ahead. I'll see you soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.